Hello, Dave. How you doing? Sorry that I'm sending this so late. I'd chosen the pictures today, much earlier in the day. I just forgot to record the video because I was doing also making a video for a wedding update that I'm going to be shooting, in April. So they wanted to kind of, for me to go over some of the logistics, and I got caught up in that and totally, forgot to finish this. Um, I love the article. I thought it was great being able to read some of these things because trying to get into user experience and design, it's a lot of stuff that I've noticed. I've just, and I have a film background, so like I didn't know how to translate what I knew from film into graphic design, and he gave me a lot of vocabulary to use and topics to kind of follow. So for this first picture, I have, once again, sticking with my theme of making games for middle school, high schoolers, of what my product is. It's not necessarily a game, but that's how I've been able to find products. This one stuck out to me just because of the colors. I'm a very abstract guy, so I figured, hey, why not go for something abstract first? And the first thing that I noticed with this was framing, because one thing that I have an issue with is where does somebody go on the frame? In film, I do decent because I can kind of cheat with angles and everything and say, wow, this looks interesting. But I notice when I tend to make graphic designs, I always want to have this symmetry, and I've noticed it's very bland. It almost looks like 90s kind of pictures. Everything is symmetrical. It's a lot of boxes and rectangles, and I have a hard time using circles and like things that might make it look off center, but okay, reasonably, uh, in a reasonable manner. And the one thing I would note right here is that you'll notice that this isn't symmetrical in terms of the frame, because the ending of this right here, the game, is not where night ends up here, but you don't notice, right? So it's kind of like this 3D aspect that you're kind of in between these two words of game night. And I found that interesting in terms of the framing, and also just that it's like an upper body shot where his shoulders are. He's not straight forward with the camera. It just kind of looks like he's naturally positioned, wherever with the camera is. I really wonder how they took this picture. If this was a stock photo or they did it themselves, because I found it really interesting. Also, sorry. So I did three for each picture. I just thought that would be um, um, more information to be able to fit into them, being able to go three in one picture, because then at least I'm working on nine theories rather than just three. So texture and patterns. His shirt right here, this is pretty much what I mean. Assuming that colors can kind of play into the texture scheme. Um, I just really liked these colors that they came out, but in a more of the pattern, right? With his shirt, and the orange on top of orange, where this is kind of like, I guess you'd call it like a salmon pink, and then the orange of game night. And I'm assuming those are supposed to be like laser beams, kind of just saying like, "Whoa, laser," game night. So with those kind of patterns, you get the sense that this is going to be, a video game oriented scenario. Even if maybe game night wasn't there, you'd get that there was some kind of vibe to the virtual world. And then balance, rhythm, and contrast. Um, Again, I'm going with the abstract version of this. Maybe it's ironic to think about it this way, that this is balanced and there's a rhythm and contrast. But all of these, I think this is inverted. I think that's what they started off with. I'm sorry if you hear scratching in the dog. It's my brother's dog. I'm house sitting. Um, it's more of like an inverted theme that they got going on, which I always like when you can pull it off. Again, as a filmmaker, I would love when people would do experimental things with negative film. It's a really cool vibe, and I think that just kind of built into the what I'd say is the rhythm of this, which is, you know, all these colors kind of relate to this funky world of being in a virtual realm, and then the contrast more about just the colors here that pop out from the other colors. yet are here, right? So orange is here and it's also down here. There's also, this is the only color right here that I'd say kind of goes against the whole rhythm of things, but everything else kind of it goes along with the previous colors that you've seen with the rest of the picture. So moving on to my second photo. Oops. This one I'll zoom in a little bit. For this one, this makes it a little bit easier. So this was like a game, I guess, that somebody had made for middle schoolers, I believe. I tried to stick with middle school and high school on this one just to keep a steady flow. With this one, I noticed point, line, and shape because a lot of these things, I think that they probably used a tool like the pen tool to make these ridges around here, all of these bends and everything. So you can kind of see that they spent time making these with the the theory that Jose had been talking about with the point, line, and shape, that you can take one thing, a straight line, and you can bend it if you want to. You can cut things out where he made the A. So that's kind of something that stuck out to me. Also, the topography on this one, I'm not gonna say it's the best, but I find it funny because a lot of times I struggle with this white stroke. I never know if I'm supposed to go to black stroke or white stroke. So I was glad to see that they used the white stroke in the clouds because it shows that you can get away with it. I usually would worry, I'd go, oh, well, you can't see the stroke there. But you know what? Overall, I think you can still see the words, and that's what they wanted. They just want the words to kind of stick out. And here you can see that they use a black one on top of green, so maybe that makes it stick out a little bit more as well. And on top of this vanilla background, you've also got the white strokes. All of the text is kind of bold, right? It kind of sticks out there. Um, Down here, it's still legible, even though they're close quarters, right? I think the kerf is a little close, but it's still okay to read. Even where this O and the A's like kind of run over each other, it's still it's not causing me any trouble. Um, and then the last one was grid and alignments. Um, this one I chose just because I I like how everything is straight. It's straight, straight, straight. But then they broke the rules with these kind of things that they wanted to pop out, right? They have the start button slightly on a tilt, and then they've also got this go on to transportation. So, you're reading all this, you're looking at all of these obvious straight things, but then you kind of like get drawn to the start button and you get drawn to this next sign, which I'm sure was their goal. Also, they're green, so that might have also helped. But I think the alignment of them in terms of me reading this, and then I automatically kind of, I do get dragged to this a little bit, but my attention more goes to this choose your home, and then I start looking at some of the houses, right, which are all in here and like aligned in a grid, and then I kind of start to go, okay, maybe I can press start, but then you've also got this start stop sign down here located underneath the start, which kind of drags your eyes. And then, like I said, there's that little transportation sign on the tilt, which makes it very noticeable. I think if that was straight and it was just, straightforward, I don't think I would notice this one as much. And the last one, this is a game that I really like. I really suggest this if you ever get a chance. I'm sure you're into like semiotics and semantics and everything, so this is a great game. They make one without the pictures, but I really suggest getting the one with the pictures. Um, so the scale of this one, I really liked. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of I think I widened it a little bit. But the original pictures you can see are they're more thin, and I like that because it goes with this whole theme that you're like a spy. Essentially, the game is you kind of have this spy thing, and you have to have a partner, and you have to guess the words, um, or you have to get them to guess which ones are yours, and that's besides the point of the game. But the fact that they've got these two characters like in business suits. Kind of look a little sleek. It kind of makes you like feel like you're a business slash oh, sorry, I'm gonna cut this on pause. And I'm back. Sorry about that. Also the visual concept. is what I found interesting because knowing the game, and I know I assume the backstory of the product also does help drive the art itself. Um, and the visual concept here is telling you that it's top secret, it's a picture game, right? It's very upfront in your face. Yet it looks interesting because this woman has planets in her hand, and he's got the Dali clock in a pan, right? So you're kind of like, what is this? And then the last is the textures and patterns for this one as well that I also said with the first one. I just like this radial effect here, and on top of the black with these kind of half silhouetted characters, it's very abstract. I it's not like the most beautiful thing in the world, but it gets the point across. It's not too fancy. I love the way that it's layered, and I just thought it was something that once I saw it pop up again, I went, "Oh man, I want to add this to the list." Um, so that is it for my three um, choices. I didn't see any reply for saying that the videos were not acceptable. So for any ones that I think I can do the videos, I'm gonna keep along with this. If there's any issues, feel free to let me know, and I can definitely write them. It's just for me being able to talk these out. I think helped me for towards a career and also helped me just get the vocabulary down a little bit. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week.